So I want to talk about a story that you've probably seen in the news already, but I want to talk about why it's upset and annoyed a lot of disabled people. So Merlin Entertainment, who owns Thorpe Park, Legoland, Chesington, a few other parks, have banned people from using the disability pass to avoid queues if they have ADHD. This change to their disability access policy is directly impacting on the lives of hundreds of thousands of customers. Merlin is one of the biggest operators of theme parks in the UK and Europe, and under this new policy, they're telling people with ADHD that they don't qualify for their disability access pass that prevents them having to physically queue. And I want to talk about this as a disabled person and a neurodivergent person. So, what is the right access pass? So, this is taken from their website. It's something that's free of charge. You don't have to be a Merlin annual pass holder to apply, and you apply once and you get it for 3 years. There's more information on their website if you want to see the ins and outs for yourself. But what I want to highlight, this isn't like the fast pass option, so it's not a paid for thing, it's free of charge. And it doesn't mean that there's total avoidance of lines. You still wait, just via a different process that avoids the main queue. And eligibility is assessed on whether someone has a physical or mental impairment that substantially affects their daily activities and has lasted or expected to last at least 12 months. This is under the legal definition of disability in the Equality Act. Merlin partners with Nimbus Disability to assess each application on its merits, and supporting documentation may be required. And you'll probably see hundreds of comments below articles just like this one, like the ones I'm about to show you. So I just want to talk about them and the impact that they're having. I've got ADHD. I don't know why I would deserve queue jump. I don't see why any disability should get you to queue jump. If we want equality in this case, we still stand in line. The only exception I can think of is letting disabled people to board first, as they may naturally take longer. First, saying that it's queue jump is ableist. Merlin's own guidance says that it's not jumping the queue, it's having to wait just without the harm and the anxiety and everything else combined that they would experience when they're in a physical queue. Secondly, this comment treats equality as everyone doing the same thing. This is formal equality, and this is exactly how disabled people get excluded. For some people that are disabled or neurodivergent, queues can be quite triggering. There's sensory overwhelm, they can experience a shutdown, a meltdown, they might experience a panic attack, or just have intrusive thoughts that are really hard to control. And I shouldn't need to say this, but just because you have ADHD doesn't cancel out anyone else's experience of ADHD. It's not a competition of who can be more disabled or less disabled. One person not experiencing a barrier doesn't mean that someone else is also not experiencing the same barrier. Also, the idea that we should only give adjustments to disabled people when it slows down other people is ridiculous. And there are more examples. Look at these two comments that I saw. The first one reads, I have diagnosed ADHD and my kids also have autism. We never queue jumped. Fine, that's good for you. But again, it's not a competition or who's more or less. This comment says, I have a child with 2 disabilities. Neither of them means he can't wait in a queue, and one of those is ADHD. It sucks, but he's perfectly capable. The problem for him is the one time he has a diabetic related episode, then I need things like that. But that's not all the time, and when that happens, we wouldn't be able to go on the ride anyway. Can we stop making this about ourselves for once? Like, I would not want to deny someone else access and a reasonable adjustment just because it's not something I need. And here's just a few more comments. This one says, my son has autism, ADHD, PDA. I wouldn't expect him to go in front of other people. Fair's fair. Under the Equality Act and under international definitions of disability and mental health, ADHD, autism, any neurodiversity is protected by those characteristics and by those definitions. That means that if someone has one of these conditions, a service or a company has to make sure that reasonable adjustments are in place to support them to access their products, goods, or services. And before you jump in the comments and say, yeah, but equality is making sure everyone gets treated the same. If everyone got treated the same, there'd be people that would be excluded, as I've said. What we need is equity. This is where we make sure that those who have support and need support have the right support so they can access everything the same as everyone else. It's making sure that we have the equality, that everyone has the ability to access to service, but when the support is needed, the equity for them to allow them to engage is also there. And again, I say this is not a queue jump. You still have to wait just outside of the physical queue. This isn't giving special treatment to people with ADHD or autism or people who are disabled. This is making sure that people who have a disability that meets the legal definition of disability, may I add, have the ability to participate